Alright, Pokemon fans, welcome to our third top 8 match. In this match, we're bringing you Alex Underhill versus Joey Costagliola.
Really, two of the top players in the country throughout this entire 2019 season. Alex has consistently been doing well, and Joseph, while he doesn't maybe have the live event accomplishments, like he's got a couple top fours, a couple top cuts. However, more of his work in this format's been done online, creating teams. So, two guys who have been established throughout their time. Really cool to see the kind of a clash of the titans here at one of the last regionals of the Ultra format.
Right. So we do see Joseph using, this SpaceX core that we just saw in the last match. Meanwhile, Alex utilizing this Ray Ogre,
kind of one of the more standard Ray Ogres. Ray Ogre Celesteela, we saw some win North American Internationals. Ray Ogre with Metagross got top 4 at that same national, so kind of a mix of both here on Alex's side. Double Steel giving him a very good option of dealing with Xerneas in whatever way he sees fit. So some matchups Celesteela is going to be better, some matchups Metagross might be better. So gives him very different ways he can play the game. Celesteela more oriented towards slowing the pace down. Metagross picking up those KOs at a high pace.
For sure.
But we talk about KOs at a high pace, you have Gallade.
Can we talk about the elephant in the room here?
Gallade with that massive 165 attack stat, that huge close combat. We saw a KO in Incineroar at -1, but when Gallade's not able to pick up the KOs, it's fine. Like we saw that helping hand from Gallade come out yesterday, so going to be able to support its partner in picking up some KOs.
Gallade doesn't just want to pick up some KOs, it wants to cheer its friends on while they do it as well. Coming out with that helping hand that was so big.
Right, and we see Alex here leading with Tapu Koko and Kyogre. A little bit more of a, safe lead from this team. Tapu Koko sometimes is the Assault Vest item, carries something like an Electro Web. Maybe he can give Kyogre some speed control, or we can just see Tapu Koko how we're used to seeing it played, which is that high offense, those big Z moves, kind of removing the threats for Kyogre.
Right, like Tapu Koko is just such a versatile mon. We see it using so many different sets throughout the season.
Right, so we see that, and on the other side, Smeargle Zern coming out from Joseph.
The tried and true Smeargle Zern lead.
Right, and here it's honestly in a pretty good position. Smeargle potentially goes something like a wide guard, maybe a fake out, allowing Xerneas to get that Geomancy up.
Right.
These two Pokemon are primarily special attackers, so if it is able to get that Geomancy up, going to be able to do a lot of damage here. I actually see Volt Switch come out from Tapu Koko into that Xerneas, so no fake out or follow me from that Smeargle. So Alex may be looking for a big play on the Xerneas here, might be able to get it off. More importantly, I'm just kind of curious what the Smeargle is going to be going for.
Yeah, so see the Smeargle not go for a fake out or a follow me or a wide guard here. We're in electric terrain, so Spore's going to be non-effective. Deep down, I hope that we're just seeing a Geomancy transform turn 1. But I don't know if that's what Joseph plans to go for.
Xerneas does get that Geomancy boost up, so this Water Spout from Kyogre still going to be doing a lot of damage, but not picking up the tail like it previously.
It will be, lessened, softened at least a little bit.
Right. We could just be seeing a Spore going into one of these slots still.
Anticipating
Celesteela
that
is a great switch in
coming
against
in here.
Smeargle Xerneas, so maybe trying to catch that upon a switch in. And we actually see Water Spout going versus Smeargle actually being very slow in this situation, or maybe it's just a very fast Kyogre. That Water Spout doing a lot of damage to that Xerneas.
Yeah, so despite the boost, Xerneas still taking a ton of damage.
And we do see that Spore trying to fish for that Celesteela there. We see accuracy boost, not important. We see Tapu Koko in the back, and electric trade up. Spore not really a likely threat.
Right.
But that Water Spout damage was big, just letting all that go off onto Xerneas. Incineroar coming out here is great off that Volt Switch because you can fake out the Smeargle and you can go for something like Water Spout again, or if you're Sphere taking too much damage, Scald or Origin Pulse is likely going to be able to pick up KO here.
Yeah, so the Xerneas is boosted, but it took so much damage in the process. It's hard to say if it was worth it, but we'll see how Joey chooses to go for it. So we actually see a Crafty Shield here
from Smeargle. So something we really haven't seen since 2016. We saw it pop up in Dallas Regionals of the Moon Series with Aaron Traylor's Xerneas Lunala team. However, other than that, Crafty Shield really hasn't been around, and it was great in 2016 because of the blocking Dark Void.
Right.
However, likely going for it here in hopes of blocking a Roar. So a very safe play by Joseph, knowing that, okay, I got to protect my Xerneas. My Smeargle is useless, so let me make sure that
if I can't click Spore now,
if my Smeargle can't really do anything, let me at least protect the Xerneas and not lose that Geomancy boost, which he gave up so much to get in that turn 1.
Yeah, so we do see Gallade coming in here, and this is going to put immense pressure on that Incineroar.
Right, we saw Incineroar drop at -1 yesterday. This Gallade coming in
unintimidated, going to be not a problem.
Right, and
the other thing, we have seen the Helping Hand on Gallade, and Helping Hand Dazzling Gleam could set up for, you know, a big old heap of damage right now.
Right, and another thing you kind of have to be worried about is if you're Alex, your Kyogre being targeted down with this close combat. You have to imagine with how strong Gallade is. Close combat into Dazzling Gleam.
It's
really
not
easy
super
KO.
effective, but it's still going to deal a lot of damage.
Yeah, and we talk about how important those steel types are in this matchup. Celesteela and Metagross want no business with that close combat.
Yeah, so we do see the Moonblast into the Kyogre.
That's a big special attack drop.
That is a huge special attack drop, and the close combat also following in the Kyogre.
Going for that double up. Really kind of surprised that was a Moonblast into that slot. Dazzling Gleam close combat likely picking up a KO there. Maybe Moonblast plus close combat picks up something like a Celesteela. However, just kind of ignoring that Incineroar there, letting it stay healthy for later. We actually see a great call here by Alex.
Yeah, so Alex, you know, anticipating his Kyogre going down there, goes for the Flare Blitz. That would have been in the Heavy Rain otherwise.
Right, but that's a great play by Alex in that situation. If Joseph wants to ignore Kyogre, cool. I get an
you still get the Origin Pulse off. It's still going to be a lot of damage.
You get Scald, you get Origin Pulse, whatever the second water move is off, and you're going to KO the Xerneas in that regard. But if he does go after the Kyogre like he does there, then Flare Blitz is
right. So ultimately, it's a fairly safe play, but it's still cool to see that he kind of covered his options.
Right. However, Gallade's still a neutral attack. This Incineroar, while it's great that it stayed in front of it, it's still a very juicy target for this Gallade to go after. And with Lunala on the field and Tapu Koko coming out, Gallade, we could be something like Protect Tailwind, and Gallade is suddenly the fastest thing on the field. And in pair with that Lunala, that duo can start doing a lot of damage.
Right.
So Alex still has a lot of work left to do. Still a lot of offensive pressure down, but big KO to pick up that Xerneas, which was looking like a very big threat from Joseph's side.
Yeah, so Incineroar switching out for the Celesteela that Joseph was definitely really concerned about. We can see the Wide Guard coming out.
There is that fourth move. We were wondering what this Gallade's final option was, and it is that Wide Guard. However, not really getting anything done with it. We see Tapu Koko going for a Volt Switch, actually 2-hit KOing Gallade. So,
well, Gallade has taken one special defense drop from close combat. So.
True, close combat drop, yeah. But still a lot of damage. Tapu Koko, we saw how little it was really doing to that Xerneas before, maybe signifying it's offensive.
Right, it's not so offensive. All we've seen so far is it clicking.
So far, this game has just been the Volt Switch.
So,
but we do see that Z move coming out from.
You're able to sponge that attack fairly easily.
Right, and that's really a really great play. More importantly, I think there is the Celesteela doesn't take the hit, because if Celesteela takes that hit, we see how Celesteela likes to take the time to set up Leech Seeds and really play the long game, but the more damage, like if it's able to take that big hit, it suddenly loses that ability to try and squeeze the life out of this game because of how weak it would be. So Alex needed a big play there, and he got it, and is now in a great position to try and take this game home. Close combat, now at -1, is also important. Incineroar is going to go down.
Right, Incineroar's not taking
just giving Celesteela some more longevity in this situation. So Incineroar goes down, Heavy Slam, now going to be able to KO Gallade if he wants to take his KO there. With another close combat drop, though, Volt Switch from that Tapu Koko will still be able to KO. We saw it with the 2-hit KO. Electric Terrain might go down here, which is fine.
Because
that
Tapu
boost,
Koko
will reset it.
So you see the Moongeist Beam, deals about 30% to Celesteela, which is nothing to slouch at, but it's going to be just slightly too little to close out this game, especially with the special defense boost from getting that KO. Now Celesteela is going to be really tough to take down.
Going to be very difficult taking out this Celesteela at this point. Not being Joseph, you could tell, was really trying to get that hit off on a Celesteela, never found it.
Right.
And now, Alex just keeping it in the back, realizing that this is my win condition. Just not letting it take that big attack, preserving it so well, now is rewarding him with this endgame. And I think if you're Joseph, though, while that's unfortunate, you're going to be getting some good information here from the rest of Alex's side. You've only seen Tapu Koko go for Volt Switch, so maybe you get a confirmation as to what set it's running. We haven't seen a Z move. We do just see a forfeit, actually. So not winning that information, not going to get that information for the Tapu Koko. And if you're Alex, that was really well played. You were offensively pinned there for a lot of the mid points. Could have gone a lot differently had some switches gotten called differently from Joseph. So maybe instead of if that Menacing Moonrays Maelstroms in the Incineroar slot, it's in the Celesteela, we're looking at a totally different game. So while Alex was in a very commanding spot there, Joseph has the tools to kind of flip that and turn it into his favor.
Right, and so like the big thing, Joseph got punished a lot for setting up his Geomancy. He just took a lot of damage in order to get that set up on turn 1, and that definitely helped Alex out because it meant that he didn't have to take too many boosted Xerneas attacks.
Right.
He was able to cover and not just take a heap of damage after Xerneas got boosted. So Joseph's definitely going to have to figure out a way, if that's his game plan, if boosted Xern is his win con, he's going to have to figure out a slightly better way to go about it. However, with those two steel types that are dealing pretty significant damage, it's hard to think of leading Xerneas, as maybe the #1 play, because we definitely saw how he was scared of the Celesteela, trying to fish it out.
Right, and we kind of saw that on turn 1 with the fear of that Celesteela. If Smeargle goes for a fake out onto that Kyogre instead of that Spore, and Xerneas gets the Geomancy off with only taking a Volt Switch, that's a really big difference in the game there. So that Celesteela, if you're Alex, you kind of have to keep it in your mind, okay, this is a win. This probably really is your win con.
Right.
Just allowing you to have that bulky option to just kind of stall out the hyper offensive nature of Joe's team. However, got to be very careful with it, like I was saying earlier. Yes, it is your win con, but Joe's team can
overwhelm.
It can overwhelm. You got to make sure that you're able to keep your board right and just play. You want to play safe, but at the same time, you still want to play. Like Justin Burns says, you want to play safe. You want to play obscurely safe. Maybe not making the obvious safe play, but finding that play which still gives you in a good board position, but still lets you set up for your end game.
Absolutely, yeah. So Alex, kind of going by that philosophy, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like Kyogre, Tapu Koko was fine earlier, and Joseph's just going with the lead of both his restricted.
Yeah, we see double restricted lead, kind of taking after Chongjun in Game 2 yesterday. Kind of giving him multiple options here. We could potentially see something like switch out in Smeargle. This is a great double restricted is one of my personal favorite leads because you have the offensive threat from both of them, and you want to deal with that. However, it's kind of worse. Pokemon like Smeargle and Incineroar shine in situations like this. Okay, you have this great pressure, and you try to adjust the pressure from the conglomerate, but then you switch in Smeargle, and suddenly you make the wrong switch on Alex's side, and it's I can get run over by Xerneas here.
Right.
So really has to be very careful with how he wants to play this. Joseph has a lot of offensive potential or setup potential going forward with this.
So you see Kyogre switching out in favor of Incineroar here. That will let Alex position himself better in future turns. With fake out U-turn as a Skydrop coming from Tapu Koko.
Yeah, so big play there. Normally, Lunala, of course you break the Shadow Shield. Lunala could have gone for something like a Tailwind in this situation, or just a Z move into that Tapu Koko. Gonna buy some time for Alex's side. But more importantly, getting it stuck on the field with Incineroar. Incineroar often carries things like Throat Chop, Knock Off, Darkest Lariat, or even a Snarl, all of which would be effective against this Lunala. And with that Shadow Shield being broken
by the Skydrop,
more damage.
Is going to be in a good spot to deal a lot of damage.
Right, and when you think of the restricteds that deal with the Celesteela, Lunala is really the one that's going to be the threat. So being able to remove that is just going to help his Celesteela out even more late game.
So we do see Moonblast coming out into the Incineroar, dealing a lot of damage, but after eating its berry, Incineroar's going to be right back at, close to full HP.
Right, so very big there, living that. We see that Skydrop come down, that shield is broken. Lunala, though, will get that Z move off. Not sure where this is going to go, maybe. But we do see that Tapu Koko lives that, so signaling the Assault Vest, and with the knockoff from Incineroar,
it does pick up
with
the
a
KO and a critical hit to boot.
Does pick big KO there. Very important for Celesteela later on in the game if it is in the back. Also doesn't have to worry about just those strong, neutral Moongeist being thrown out. Maybe we saw Psych Up come out yesterday from Ian, so maybe there was a Psych Up. There's no threat of that anymore. Just a lot of tricks that the Lunala could have had for this game. Just doesn't have to worry about it anymore. And now Gallade comes out on the field. We talked about that Helping Hand. Helping Hand Dazzling Gleam should be able to pick up a KO here, I would assume. Or could go for something like a Moonblast, close combat, spread the damage around a little bit. So yeah, it was great that Alex was able to get rid of that Lunala, but this is just the offensive nature of this team. That Gallade just allowing those pins to carry over even after the Lunala goes down. And we see that Helping Hand.
Yeah, so we do see that Helping Hand and the Dazzling Gleam. That ought to be enough to pick up the KO on both of these Pokemon, which it is.
With a
critical hit on Incineroar. So, I don't think that critical hit made a big difference, but...
Xerneas kind of picking up for his little buddy Lunala there. Like, you crit my friend, I'm a crit you.
Yeah,
so,
you know, it's like turnabout's fair play, boys. And so now we do see the Celesteela coming out here.
However, while it is great, I actually do really like that the Helping Hand there rather than the close combat. Because if it's close combat, Gallade takes that defense drop and maybe Heavy Slams KOing here. Now, more than likely not. I'm going to assume. Gallade's not the exactly bulkiest Pokemon, but Heavy Slam one-hit KO would be a lot to ask for. But still, this Helping Hand option is live. We can see something like a Helping Hand Moonblast and a Kyogre. Really just a whole, just another pin situation that Joseph's able to set up for himself.
So we do see the Helping Hand into a Kyogre Protect here. Fun fact, Helping Hand boosted +2 Moonblast deals about 80% to Celesteela, so that is not something to sneeze at. However, we do see what is essentially a double target go into Kyogre's Protect.
Big old critical hit there from Celesteela, so crit's getting thrown out left and right here in this endgame, but honestly really surprised to see that the Gallade was the Pokemon targeted down there. You would think with that Heavy Slam target you would probably want the Xerneas. With that +2 Moonblast, you want to get that threat off the field. We see Kyogre going for Double Protect, does not get it, unfortunately. That really was Alex's win con of getting that. I actually do see the Moonblast go down into that, so probably going to see a close combat double up here, if I had to assume. Yep, there is a close combat, so Kyogre going to go down.
Yeah, so I do find it interesting, though, that Joey's kind of ignoring this Celesteela, which is such a threat. I imagine he must have something in the back that he thinks deals with Celesteela just fine.
Right. The combination of Incineroar or Smeargle will be enough to deal with Celesteela. Incineroar has the offensive option of dealing with Flare Blitz, plus Moonblast, which will KO Celesteela. Or you have Smeargle, which just puts Celesteela to sleep. So, I like the target down there of the Kyogre. Game could have gone completely different there had that double protect came out. So, it is Incineroar coming out. So, Joseph really bouncing back well there, capitalizing with the offensive pressure of his team, getting it out there on turn 1, realizing that, okay, I took too long to get it going in game 1 and I lost. Game 2, let me get it out right away. And he just had Alex pinned the entire time. He never let go of that grip.
Right. You know, he just had a ton of damage threatened from the get-go.
And if you're Alex, you really have to find a way to get around. We saw how he played around it extremely well in game 1. Took his offense when it was there, but when it came time to switch around everything that Joseph was doing, he was able to do it in game 1 very effectively, thus allowing him to win the game. I see Leech Seed down on the Incineroar, so good information to have that the Celesteela is faster than the Incineroar.
Right.
So if that's able to come up in game 3, Alex knows that, okay, I can go first, I can maybe Heavy Slam a Xerneas or Heavy Slam a Gallade before this Incineroar Flare Blitzes me.
And we do see the Flare Blitz connect. That is going to KO the Celesteela, and that's going to take us to our first Game 3 in Top Cut today.
Yeah, that great adjustment there from Joseph. Two very, very, I guess, close games in regard. Game 1 was very close, where Alex kind of weaseling his way around the board, just kind of grinding it out a little more, making those defensive reads, where Joseph going on the offensive and just punishing Alex is passive board state. That Skydrop turn 1 was great because he removed the Lunala. However, he allowed Xerneas to get set up for free. And Xerneas, as we saw there, just steamrolled the game. Didn't take any damage. It probably took a hit at some point, but was never in threat of being KO'd the entire time.
Right.
So, while Alex and Xerneas is kind of... It's something that Alex has to deal with. Like, you want to be able to play defensively and get around the offensive pins. However, you still have to find your opportunity to punch that Xerneas and get it knocked out. Otherwise, you're just going to steamroll him again.
Yeah, like, I mean, we did see a lot of damage coming out from Xerneas all game. And that's really been the key for actually a lot of Xerneas players. If they can keep their Xerneas healthy, they're able to just take control of the entire match. But, you know, if, like we saw in Game 1, if you take too much damage getting set up, you know you're already low by the time you're ready to start dealing damage. You know you don't have enough gas left to really keep your foot down.
Yeah, we saw that. We saw it took a lot of damage in Game 1, and it came to the point where Alex was able to kind of play around it until he needed to KO it.
Right.
So, different tale in Game 2. The Xerneas was out, and it was effective the entire time. So that the use of Xerneas and how Alex is able to play around it is really going to be the tale of Game 3. Well, I think it was great that Alex prioritized the Lunala in Game 2 because the big threat that it posed to Celesteela. Ignoring Xerneas in the manner that he did really came back to bite him.
Right. It really just let Xerneas, you know, run rampant. And there's one Pokemon that you don't want to let run, you know, loose like that. It's a Xerneas. So.
Right. So should be a very interesting Game 3 here. I'm really excited to see how these players are going to adapt. Because it's been a really great set so far, so hopefully Game 3 is much of the same.
Right, so...
So we see Metagross actually coming out here from Alex. So realizing Kyogre not really getting it done as the lead partner for Tapu Koko. However, Joseph sticking with what works for Game 2 rather, going with that double restricted lead of Lunala and Xerneas.
Yeah, so I like seeing Metagross here. I do wonder if that means we won't be seeing Celesteela. But, like, yes, Metagross is threatened by this Moongeist's Beam or a menacing Moonray's Maelstrom, but it will get a chance to fire off a Steel-type attack into Xerneas before taking that hit. So there's a little bit of, like, you know, who's attacking what right now. Because I definitely think if Alex can trade his Metagross for his Xerneas, that's something he'd be happy about.
Right. However, Metagross being this offensive threat often carries Iron Head, so maybe get those big, strong attacks off. You see a Skydrop picking up that Lunala once again, so repeat of Game 2 with that regard. However, Metagross staying into Iron Head to Xerneas and getting that big damage off earlier, not KOing.
Yeah, so not getting the KO there.
But does get the Geomancy off, so that still is important. The importance is the threat of the Xerneas still.
Right.
So Alex still having to respect it. If he would have gotten a flinch there, maybe he goes after the Lunala extremely hard this turn. However, has to be very careful where, of course, you probably are assuming Xerneas is going to protect. However, you don't want to overcommit into that. Let it and ignore the Lunala, and then suddenly Lunala's KOing you back.
Right, so right now, you know, we're kind of in a similar position as what we were in Game 1, right? Like, yes, Xerneas is Geomancy, but it's on just a fingernail of HP left right now. So, you know, if this Metagross is carrying Bullet Punch, you know, even with the speed boost, that's not going to matter. Right. So we're going to have to see if the Xerneas is going to have enough HP to, you know, get some work done.
Yeah, we see that Skydrop come out. No protect from Metagross, and the Iron Head coming out into Lunala.
Yeah, so Alex seeing this through really well.
Hit.
And a Psych Up coming out
from Joseph. So maybe getting a little too caught up in...
A little greedy
Yeah,
here.
a little greedy there. Because you got to assume that, alright, the Xerneas Protect is very obvious on my side, and I can Moongeist Beam your Metagross because of it. Probably assuming that Metagross is going to want to protect, try to take advantage of that passive nature. However, Alex not falling for any of that, getting that free damage off. Bullet Punch might not be able to KO the Lunala at this point, but Bullet Punch on the Xerneas is a definite KO.
Right. And so that's sort of, you know, that critical hit is definitely really unfortunate because Lunala would have been at, you know, around half of its HP right now if it wasn't for that critical hit, which is definitely a lot more manageable. So we do see Lunala going for a protect here.
Lunala being the one to protect itself, probably assuming that a Bullet Punch is getting fired into that slot. Alex
is
going to take the bait going after that Lunala. Moonblast from the Xerneas, probably going into Tapu Koko.
Yeah, into the Tapu Koko. That definitely makes sense.
We saw it live the menacing
survive that,
and we see it live now. Volt Switch coming out onto Xerneas.
We did see a special
attack
drop,
so
actually
coming into play, allowing Xerneas to hold on there. But if there is something like maybe Rayquaza in the back, Extreme Speed can pick that up very easily.
Right. And so that's something that we do see Incineroar coming in here.
This is a big turn right here now. That special attack drop being really unfortunate. Xerneas would have gone down had that not occurred. But now it's kind of a call. Dazzling Gleam into a Menacing Moonraze Maelstrom is very likely to KO this Incineroar. However, if you don't, there is still the threat of Bullet Punch. We could see like a switch out or something. Maybe Lunala stays in and Xerneas switches out for Incineroar, sacrificing its boost so that the Moonguide's can go down on the Metagross. Or we could see like a Protect on Metagross and a knockoff. Just a lot of options for both players here, so it's really just figuring out which play works best.
Right, so this Metagross, of course, is still in a great position. Bullet Punch, should be able to pick up the KO on both of these Pokemon. Definitely Xerneas. So that ignores those speed boosts, right?
Right.
And with the fake out pressure being active right now, Alex has options, but he's got to get it right because a misstep is going to lead to a lot of damage coming out.
Right, and we do see that Incineroar coming in, so Joseph trying to make sure that his Lunala is able to live this Bullet Punch from Metagross. So it really just comes down to what is Alex going for. And it's actually that fake out, so Alex is going for that fake out Bullet Punch play. Will
this Intimidate be enough?
It is. Lunala hangs
so that is
on.
A great play by Joseph right here, as that's going to let him pick up this big KO onto the Metagross.
Right, and I actually really like this. That this is the Z move coming out from.
Especially if you're Joseph, you're like, all right, I saw this Metagross. I don't think my opponent brought Celesteela, so I don't need to hold them.
Right.
And of course, it's possible that Alex did bring both Steel types. There's certainly precedent
but
for
we
that.
Actually don't see another Steel type. It is the Kyogre on Alex's side. So if he's got Origin Pulse, now is a very good time to go for that. Kyogre, we've seen that as both here, so possibly can live that +2 Psyshock, but does have to worry about where this fake out's coming from
right.
Incineroar. You'd have to assume from Joseph's side, you probably want to go into the opposing Incineroar because we did see that knockoff. So the Incineroar is starting that KO onto Lunala. However, you can't exactly ignore Kyogre either.
If you just let a Kyogre sit and click Water Spout, you're not going to have a good day, or Origin Pulse, or, even Scald or something. Its special attack is so high, it's boosted by Rain. So, yeah, you're right. You can't ignore the Kyogre either.
So, really crucial turn here for Joseph. Just have to get this fake out target right. And same thing for Alex. We've seen him go on the offensive this turn, so now he's pushed back on the back foot, trying to get around this with his defensive pivoting. We saw him get it right in game 1, so we're going to see if he's going to do more of the same here. So, both players taking their time here, a lot of thought into this. This really is kind of the game-deciding turn, so gotta get it figured out. We see that Alex is actually opting to sacrifice his Tapu Koko here, potentially. We do see a fake out into the Tapu Koko, so getting that call
so
right.
that is going to be a KO onto the Tapu Koko, but I think Alex was done with it. And this +2 Psyshock into Kyogre is going to deal a decent amount of damage, but not enough to pick up the KO.
Does double connect, which is huge. However, Incineroar is safe.
Incineroar actually
hangs
on there.
And what the great thing about that for Alex, do you think, is, okay, my Incineroar is still healthy. I have Intimidate. I have Fake Out. However, Gallade.
Right.
Gallade doesn't care about the Fake Out. Gallade, and with that damage from Psyshock, Gallade is just free to start throwing out close combats. So, great management there by Joseph, realizing that, okay, I need this damage down on Kyogre for sure, just to make once again, you're not getting a KO, which is unfortunate, but it is still putting him in a position to set it up for the late game.
Right. So yeah, we do see Xerneas coming back on the field here. I imagine Joseph kind of wants to get his Incineroar off the field in order to bring in that Gallade, if that's what he does have as his 4th Mon.
Right. Incineroar, more than likely just going to U-turn out here if I had to guess. It is probably going to be one of the slower Pokemon on the field, so going to be able to get that in for free. But yeah, priority, get the Gallade in at this point. Probably going to see a Protect on the Xerneas just to make sure that it hangs around for next turn, forcing a 2v2 situation.
Because we have seen that Xerneas is faster than Alex's Kyogre. So, if Joey can get his...
Well, we actually just see a forfeit get locked in, so Alex probably, I guess, just seeing the writing on the wall.
Yeah,
like, okay,
so,
I can't
assuming that Gallade's in the back,
right, I can't
Xerneas
deal with
being
Xerneas
faster,
plus Gallade.
It can KO Kyogre, and Gallade is going to bop that Incineroar.
Right.
So, what a match.
Yeah,
We're now seeing Mega Gallade entering top 4 of this regional.
That game 3 was just so close. Just it literally just took a couple plays. There was that bullet punch play from...
Right, and each turn was so crucial, to get right, and... I've said it before, but I think that's one of the hallmarks of these restricted formats. The risk is so high with the amount of damage, Xerneas, Lunala, Kyogre, all of them threaten. One wrong turn can be so punishing. And we definitely saw that in this game.
And we think about the punish, Alex missing both Iron Head flinches in that game. If one of those Iron Head flinches, that game can go completely differently. So, and then, of course, we saw a crit played into that game, so a lot of RNG factors into that game, kind of even adding more havoc to what was already going into it. So, yeah, a lot of just those close calls in that mid-game just really making this super tight, having to make those grinding decisions. We saw these guys taking up a lot of time throughout the game, so very close and very well reflecting of the skill levels of these players.
Yeah, and so this is actually our second Zernala SpaceX core in the top 4. So don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to have an interview with Joey before jumping into our final top 8 match.
All right, guys, we are back here with your winners interview. This time we got Joseph Costagliola with us. Joseph, how are you feeling after that?
I am physically shaken. I felt like I did have the match advantage, but still Alex is just such a better player than me, I think, on paper, that I kind of psyched myself out before the set mentally. And so to win, I feel ecstatic right now.
Yeah, that was a super close matchup. A lot of turns that each game just kind of flipped it around. So going into some of those situations, in Game 3, we saw that critical play with sacrificing your Xerneas' boost to preserve the Lunala. What was going through your head with some of those?
So my original plan with Alex was actually to, from the beginning, was to Psych Up Sweep him. And so I knew, looking at his team, that he had more Xerneas answers with double steals than he did with Lunala answers, especially because I had Gallade. So I felt like, honestly, my Xerneas boost wasn't important at that point because I had enough board position that I could just sweep with my Gallade and Lunala.
Gotcha. Well, ended up working out for you. Really great match. I'm really excited to see you going into this top 4. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.